So the concept that I had for season 5 was I want to film this in black and white, and I want it to be a cohesive, connected, episodic thing where each episode leads into the next one. Okay, great. What's the storyline going to be? What's the through line going to be? Why do we care? So I talked to James Martin and was talking about the idea of finding these little boxes. I think was at Michael's, and he sent me a picture of the balsa wood boxes, and he goes, what about these? I can do stuff to them. And I was like, perfect. So he bought 11 of them just in case, which turned out to be a good thing. And I had him, go wild, and he, as you see in the final season, he painted them all. His husband Michael embroidered one of them, and James did all of the gluing and attaching and making them all very unique and really cool. We're still in the pandemic, so I'm thinking, how am I going to film on location? Is this going to be a challenge? I mean, most of it will be outside, so I don't think I'm going to have a problem, but I want to be responsible. And so the idea of this story was that I would be collecting these little boxes every place I went, and that the boxes would have inside of them a word that had to do with whatever it was on that part of the journey, whatever the song was, etc. Within each video, there are hidden words, 2 or 3 depending on the video, that connect the word in the box to what's going on in the video and what's going on with the song and what it means in our character's journey that he's on. So I started mapping out what songs I wanted to do and where I wanted to film them. And a lot of it was just right off the bat, I knew it has to be here. This has to be here because it makes sense with this, that, and the other. And so the first one I really wanted to film in the campground that I used to go to when I was growing up. In fact, it's part of the locations in my original song, Home Away from Home. And it's up near Lassen National Park. And I was like, I want to go up there. And it's like February. Probably not going to be very warm, and there's going to be snow everywhere. And I grabbed my friend Jonathan and I said, let's go. I need someone to come with me just because it's safety in numbers. We drove up there really early one morning, and it was freezing. And I filmed, and we got the filming done pretty quickly, which was also because I know that campground like the back of my hand, so I knew exactly where I wanted to film and what I wanted to film. And I also knew things like that the house that built me would be in my mom's house, which was my grandmother's house, it's been in our family forever. So little things like that were kind of already set. Things like Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken, I knew I wanted it to be in like a ghost town or an abandoned something. And I couldn't find anything, and then I realized, well, Battery Spencer is right there, and it looks all, abandoned and all of that. And I happened to be up there on a great day because Mother Nature was like, you need fog and wind? Here you go. So yay. So what I want to do is take you through the whole season and just really quickly kind of point out some things. And I'm going to do it kind of quickly because I don't want this to be a 30-minute video. So before I get into that, though, the hidden words that I'm going to tell you about, you might have better luck seeing them if you're not on a phone. You might have to use your TV or your computer screen. Just an FYI. So into the unknown, the word that is in that box is change. And that's the whole purpose of this storyline, is I'm going on a journey because I want to change. I want to be a better person. And I think we've all done some version of that in our lives. So into the unknown, the reason I used that song is it is going into the unknown when you try to change something huge in your life. No matter what it is, it's unknown. It's frightening sometimes. I even likened some of the background vocals. I kind of look like, is that the me I want to become that I'm hearing calling to me, or is that something luring me down the wrong path? In the video, there's a point where on the tree it says resistance, and the reason that's there is that we are most likely going to be resistant to change, even if we know we want to do it, even if we know it's for the better. You still get resistance at the very beginning. And then at the end of the entire video, when I'm on the waterfall and it pans out, there's a word at the bottom of the waterfall that says courage. And the reason it's there is that it takes courage to change. But also, I'm moving along just fine, and then boom, there's this waterfall. Now I have an obstacle. And I have to have the courage to go find a different way around that obstacle. I have my little cheat sheet here because I am doing too many things and my brain cells don't work now. So the second episode is The Reason by Hoobastank, and the whole song is basically saying, I'm not a perfect person, I want to change, and the reason I want to change is you. And I feel like that can be many things. It can be you yourself, it could be the royal you, a certain person. It's whatever you take it to mean. And I knew from the get-go that that song was going to be in the car, moving along, and the word in the box at the end of that is integrity. Because I do want to change myself and have, integrity as a human being. And the hidden words in that video are ethics and morals, which go into the integrity of you as a human being. And I think that all ties together really well. So outside myself, the third episode, the word in the box at the end was truth. And the idea was that with the multiples of me was that a literal I'm outside myself. And it's when you're kind of just going through your life and you're not really sure what you're doing and you're not really being true to who you are. You're just kind of going through the motions. And the three hidden words in that video are ego, id, and honesty. Because the whole idea with that one was it's important to stay true to yourself. And if you're just kind of going through the motions and not really being mindful, then you're not being true to yourself. So you need to figure out how to not be outside yourself, not be numb, and be present. And that's what that video was about. Episode 4 was really literal. It was I can't turn the tide, and I did it at a beach. The word the phrase in the box at the end of this one was letting go. And the whole song is basically saying, I can't turn the tide if it's going out on me. Like, I can't keep you here if you're going to leave. And for me, it has to do with letting go of anything that does not need to be there. If someone doesn't want to be in your life, don't force them. If something can't be in your life, or you can't have that right now, don't force it. Just let it go. The words that were hidden in that video were release and freedom. And I think that's pretty self-explanatory. If you're letting go, then you're releasing that. And the freedom that you can get from that to put energy into something else is amazing. So the fifth episode is I'll Stand By You. And going off of the fourth one, where we let go of the people and the things that weren't serving us, now it's about the ones that are. So we have friendship as the word in the box. The hidden words in that video are support and loyalty, which again, I think is pretty self-explanatory when you couple that with friendship. Wild hearts can't be broken. The word is resilience. And this is why I'm so happy that Mother Nature was like, here's some wind and some fog and some just crazy crap for you to film with. And the hidden words in that video were determination and power. Because the whole purpose of that song in this journey was talking about, you do have to have resilience. You do have to find that determination to kind of plow through things sometimes when it's not easy. And when you do that, you get power, and you can have that power lift you up and move you forward. Number 7 was Songbird, and the word in the box was love. And incidentally, when I find the box in that video, I find it on the Barbary Lane steps, which is actually McCondry Lane, but from Tales of the City if you're a fan. So I had to use those. And not only do I find the box, but I find a box with 2 rings in it as well. Those 2 rings are the rings that my husband and I wore before we got engaged, before we got married, like back when we were dating. Those were the matching rings. And the bottle of champagne that's sitting next to that is the empty bottle of champagne that we had consumed when we got engaged. And it's the very champagne bottle, which was kind of nerve-wracking because I was afraid I was going to break it the whole time. So the hidden words in that video, there's 3 of them, are trust, marriage, and romance. And again, I think that's pretty self-explanatory of how that kind of matches up with love. And also the reason I did the San Francisco scape for that one was simply because it's another love of mine. I love San Francisco, and I wanted to kind of make a little love letter to it within that video. So that's kind of the explanation about why my friend Javi and I ran around the city till 3 o'clock in the morning filming at all these crazy locations. So episode 8 takes place at Johnny Foley's, and the song is Don't Stop Believin', and that's, in and of itself, that's just a funny joke because that's the song we do a lot and it's requested all the time. Johnny Foley's is the first place I ever did dueling pianos, and I still play there to this day. And there's a different way that box happens in this one. It shows up, I go to get it, it disappears, it reappears, I try to get it, it disappears, it doesn't show up again until the end of the video, and that's when it changes to black and white and I pick it up. The idea was the word in that box is success. And the idea was that success is fickle. When you think you've got it, it goes away. You think you have it again, it goes away. And it's a consistent, like it's a constant thing. So that's the story behind why the box appears and disappears differently in that video than the other ones. And the hidden words in that video were dreams and fulfillment, which of course makes sense, with the word success. Also the fact that it's don't stop believing, which I think is something that a lot of people who are chasing their dreams and trying to make their dreams happen, you gotta keep believing. So it's a little cheesy, a little corny, and a little too on the nose, but that's what I wanted to do, and it made sense to me, so there. Episode 9 is The House That Built Me, and the word in the box is family, and that was filmed in Sacramento at my mom's house, which was also her parents' house. It's the only house in our family that's still in our family that, goes back, way back. So, and there's very specific things I did in there for my family. There are moments in that video that are actually visual elements that were described in the lyrics to Home Away From Home that I released in 2016. And some of it we didn't have, so I had to improvise. For example, there's a cookie jar and a Nestle Quick tin on the counter. Those were added later because we didn't have those. But that cookie jar is identical to the one my grandmother had. And things like when I'm sitting in the chair with the cane, my grandfather and I would sit there and he'd put the cane down the same way I did and pretend like we were in a ride. And that was the safety thing coming down, and he'd rock the chair back and forth and, we're going up, we're going down. And there were just little moments like that I wanted to include in there. And also, my cousin Kristen took the picture of my grandmother silhouetted, and it's the same everything that it was back then. So I had her scan her photo that she took, and then I superimposed myself into that moment to have a moment to talk to my grandmother in the song. To which Kristen said, "Are you trying to kill your mother? She's gonna cry all over the place." And she did. Sorry, Mom. And the hidden words in that video are history and roots, which again, I think is pretty self-explanatory. And the idea with that song is that, it's about sometimes you have to come home and reground yourself to continue on your journey of change. And then I leave and I head back to San Francisco. And so the final video, I wanted to make sure everybody remembered these things. So I made sure to show each box and have like a little hint of what song it was. And there are hidden words in the final video as well. There's the word closure and love yourself. So the box for that episode that appears at the very beginning, the word in that box is acceptance. Because the idea is you have to accept lots of things when you're trying to change yourself and work on yourself. You have to accept what you can't change. You have to accept what's going to be hard. You have to accept what you have to leave behind, what you have to take on, all those things. So in the final video, there's the current me, then there's the future me, as I call it. It's not the future me meaning I've done all my changing and I'm better now. It's the future me that's just saying, keep going. You've gotten this far. And every time I open one of the boxes, if it's the red box and it cuts back to future me, all you see is the red. All you see is the green. All you see is the blue, depending on the box. As I'm opening the boxes, I'm basically conjuring up the next step, the next me. It's not the finished product, it's the next step in the journey. The overall arc is, why all these boxes, why all these words, even though they tie into those parts, those plot points I told you about, but what are they really? And the idea was I was going along, collecting the pieces that I believe are the important parts of me. Being true to myself, my friends, my family, letting go of things that are not good for me. All of those things. Having acceptance for what I can change, what I can't change, what I'm going to have to do, what I'm not going to have to do. And just having that authenticity, which is the last box, to be authentically me. The idea of why I shift from being the black and white hat jacket me into the multicolor me is that I am not there yet, but I've done that work. I've done the initial work now, and I've turned and changed a little bit. So that's what that is. It's the change to the next step, whatever that might be. We don't know yet. And incidentally, the hat that I'm wearing, that blue checkered hat that I'm wearing that's really tattered in that final video, is the same hat that I wore in Shine, the very first video. So I brought it completely full circle with that one. And there's one last thing in that finale that I wanted to point out. The clock on the wall is stopped at 7:32. That's for two reasons. One, that's my birth time. And if you think about change as a rebirth, I wanted to kind of tie that in. Number two, it is a hint at the name of my next album. But you're going to have to wait to find out what that is, so stay tuned. Now, I promised everybody I would let them know why Cover Song Fridays is ending. And the reason behind that is nothing bad. I've had a great time doing it. I've really enjoyed doing it. I've learned so much about all kinds of things making all these videos for 5 years. It takes a lot of work, though. It takes a lot of time. And I realized if I ever want to write a new album, if I ever want to do a number of things that I have waiting in the wings, projects I've been wanting to work on, I'm going to have to free up some time. And the other thing is, I felt like it was just time. It's time to move on to something different. And it's not saying that I wouldn't come back and do another season down the road. Never say never. And so I really did think, at the beginning of the year, I was kind of thinking it would be the last one, but I decided to wait until the end of the year to make a better decision and not say anything and make a big deal out of it. So what is next is I will be taking a little time off from releasing music and from doing videos. I'm going to still be doing my live shows and traveling around and having a good time, but I need to take a little break and not do anything but my shows and just living. And then I'm going to start trying to write music again. And I have a couple of other projects in the pipeline that I'd like to put some attention towards. So I'm just going to go away for a little while and recharge and reboot and come back with something amazing, hopefully. So there's still one more behind the song coming out, and there's still one more bedroom session. And then, of course, my big project that's coming out after the holidays. And then I'm going to go away and just work on some other stuff and not have deadlines is the big one. So I just want to say thank you so much for everybody that has been following these, and my patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much for, you know, helping fund this, basically. And thank you to everybody for supporting it, and all the feedback and all, you know, it means a lot. And I really, really appreciate you guys. And after I take a little break and I work on some other things, hopefully I'll come back with something that'll just knock your socks off, and it'll be great. Until then, stay safe, and just have a great time. Thank you.